Hello and welcome to DNQ Football for our reaction to the draw, the recent draw of round 2 of World Cup qualification from the CONCACAF region. Don't worry, you've not missed anything. Round 1 still hasn't happened yet. It happens in March. You can watch our How It Works video just above Ryan there for all the details that you need. But we're going to talk through round 2. We're going to flash it up on the screen now. Oh, seamless as ever here on DNQ Football.
We are at the forefront of technological advancement, aren't we?
We're so. If you just look at where we came from and look at where we are now, we can share this. Oh, anyway, I don't want to get emotional. We have 6 groups here, 6 groups of 5 teams representing 30 participating nations in this round. Of course, there are 32 teams, but 2 of them, either BVI, USVI, or Turks and Caicos or Anguilla, will go out in round 1, leading to these 30 teams, and only 12 go through, the top 2 in each group. So it's nice and simple. We're just going to run through the draw, focusing, of course, on the sides more towards the bottom of the groups, as you can see them in front of you now. Who's got the best draw, who has got a real stinker, and just generally our thoughts and feelings. But Ryan, before we get into group by group, how excited are you to have World Cup qualifiers back in CONCACAF?
Thrilled, mate, thrilled. As I've just said before we hit the record button, we're recording this on the 26th of January. This draw happened yesterday on the 25th, and actually just the way that the week has gone for us both, this is the first time we're really kind of, I know you saw this yesterday, but for me this is the first time I'm really taking stock of it. So this is a little bit of an instant reaction, because I've seen it, I've looked at the picture very sort of quickly, but I've not sort of engulfed myself in it and absorbed the fixtures that are actually going to come. I'm buzzing for this, mate. I'm buzzing to chat through it as well, because there's some incredible looking groups. Now, should we start with Group A? That feels like the right place to start. So what we're going to do, are we just going to, as you sort of said then, spotlight, as it typically is with us, is on the lower ranked teams. So let's review who's got the best chance, of picking up most points, who's got the best chance of sneaking sort of maybe higher up the group as they can. But do you know what also I'm liking here, mate, is there's going to be not minnows as such, but there's a couple of groups already that I'm looking at thinking, I tell you what, they could sneak in there. Let's start with Group A and let's go. Let's chat as we go.
Let's do it. And you know, before we get into it, last thing I'll say is, look, a lot of teams are going to go out here, a lot of teams that we love. So round 2, which starts in June, is going to be one of the best ones from a DNQ perspective.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to have all these teams. They play 2 home, 2 away, which is an important factor as well. Don't believe the draw's taking place as to who hosts. And from a minnow perspective, of course, if you get a couple of decent home games, you might get some decent results. Are we going to talk about this in terms of some of these teams going through? Maybe not, but the passion remains. Group A, Honduras, Antigua and Barbuda, Cuba, Bermuda, Caymans. Just my initial gut reaction to this group is that is a stinker of a draw, really, for the Caymans.
It's a tricky one, my friend, for the Caymans. Again, we've got some really cool fixtures, like I just, you know, Honduras taking on Bermuda, just cool fixtures, just amazing. It's just CONCACAF delivering delicious looking fixtures for World Cup qualification. Caymans have had a tough one here, right? They've had a tough, because none of those 4 teams that sit above them there are, you know, they're going to go into, let's just say they're going to go into every game as significant underdogs. But 2 games at home, 2 games away, 4 opportunities for them to play against good opposition. I'd actually say, mate, is it harsh to say that Group A is, on my side, probably the group that I'm least bothered by about the rest of this lineup? It's sort of, it feels a bit unpassionate to me. Is that harsh?
Well, I think it's so. Honduras are passionate in a World Cup environment, but not in a World Cup qualifier environment, because they are really strong in comparison to a lot of teams in this region. And I just feel like this group, more than any other, maybe feels like the Caymans aren't really going to take any points off anyone. You know, no. The best you can hope for, I feel like, is Antigua and Barbuda to sort of cause some upsets, or Bermuda to cause some upsets. But I do agree with what you're saying. It's got the one sort of League C side in it in the Caymans, and I feel like they're going to have a really, really tough time.
Yeah, I think this one screams Honduras to go through. Actually, is that another video? Sorry, is that another video? Who's going to win all the groups? That probably is, isn't it?
Well, there's going to be a detailed round 2 preview, of
Yeah, there
course,
will
close
be.
to the
There
time.
will
But
be.
this is our initial reaction. There's nothing wrong with saying at this point in time in January, I think it's fair to say Honduras likely to
I think
top the group.
Honduras go through. But what I will say, actually, mate, is Antigua and Barbuda, Cuba and Bermuda will look at that group thinking,
Yeah,
"Hello,
yeah.
we've got a chance here." Which is,
Mhm.
you know, we love the minnow nations, but of course, it's not like Bermuda are a titan on the international footballing scene, and for them, they're probably looking at it thinking, "Wow, that's an opportunity to get through to the third round." So,
And again, it depends a little bit on fixture draw. If you're Bermuda, you're thinking Honduras, if we can get them away and the Caymans away,
yeah,
we'll back ourselves to beat Caymans away, Honduras away, it's a free hit. If we can get the other two sides at home, can we maybe take a scalp and sneak through as an unfancied
yeah,
side,
exactly,
sneaking through to
exactly.
round 3?
Yeah, absolutely. Group B has got a bit more of a blend, hasn't it? It's got
Yeah.
Costa Rica, which are one of the strongest teams in this region. Trinidad and Tobago, who have improved of late, actually. They had a really poor spell a few years ago, but seem to have picked up St. Kitts and Nevis, Grenada, and the Bahamas. Now, I think here you've got a top two that are probably quite obvious that are going to go through. But then you've got a nice mix of three teams that can probably or will hope to pick up a result or two against each other. Do you see that going any other way? I think this one from the outset, I mean, it's an amazing looking group. I just have to say, mate, I'm such a simple human being. Looking at that group, I'm looking at all the flags. I'm thinking that just looks amazing.
Mm.
That just looks amazing. There's something so good and so clean, isn't there, about a fresh, like a fresh group draw or
Yeah.
a fresh like when like the World Cup draw happens and then like it's like the fresh draw of all the groups and stuff. And there's something about that as a football fan, as an international football fan, it just makes you excited for the fixtures and the tournament kind of itself to get underway. How do you see Group B anyway?
I think we've got a really interesting one because St Kitts are a really odd side. Like I looked at their team on paper and I seem to look at it all the time. And I think that in Nations League, they've been a bit underwhelming. I think they've underperformed a little bit. I think they're better than a League C, League B yo-yo team. And yet that's where they seem to find themselves. Whereas Granada randomly were in League A a short while ago, which was an incredible achievement for them. And again, Bahamas, all I can speak of is from a Turks and Caicos Islands perspective. There have been a few friendlies between Bahamas and Turks and Caicos Islands, and Turks and Caicos Islands have won a couple.
Yeah.
And it seems a bit odd. And those three teams are so, on their day, they're good. And then there's other days where they're really off it. I think if you're Trinidad, I think you're pretty pleased with the draw.
Well, St Kitts, don't forget, have been selected by San Marino. Correct me if I'm wrong here. They've been selected by San Marino as the team that San Marino want a double
Double-legger
leg against. So
Yeah.
make of that what you will. They've got plenty of players that are in the English football pyramid, but they're a strange team. I'd say actually, as you've well described, those three are quite strange teams, aren't they? You'd never quite
They're
know
odd.
which version of them is going to turn up.
No, and I think, Costa Rica and Trinidad, all they've got to do is avoid some banana skins, But Trinidad, St Kitts, if it's in St Kitts, that's an odd game, So I'm really excited to see how this one plays out. I've got no stakes in this group. I think they're all cool teams at different levels. So just really excited to see how this one takes place.
We'll do Group C, and I want to quickly get onto Group D, but Group C, I feel again, Haiti will be the team that will probably perform well in that group. They'll look at that thinking St. Lucia, who have been vastly improving, as we know, in Nations League B. They ran Guadeloupe really close, didn't they, in the recent campaign? And there was a period where we thought they were going to get promoted to League A, which would have been insane.
Yeah.
Barbados and Aruba. So Haiti will look at the group from their point of view, thinking, yeah, okay, that's nice. St. Lucia, I think, will look at it again as a good opportunity to pick up points against Barbados and Aruba. And if they do, Curacao are a stronger side than St. Lucia. But if St. Lucia pick up the points that they will want, in fact, do you know what? Not just St. Lucia, if Barbados, if they pick up the points against Aruba and get the result that they want against St. Lucia, it does all come down to just one game because you're not playing home and away against each team. If you pick up the results that you really feel like you should do against the other minnows or the smaller nations around you. It comes down to just one football match, and Curacao have been inconsistent of late, haven't they? With their team, I know they have a lot of they have a huge Dutch influence there.
Well,
But
they've suffered from their own success, because I think a lot of people, backed them as a really good side. Then they went to Indonesia. We backed them there, or I certainly backed them there, and they got beat. They're still sort of finding their feet, I feel like, in terms of how good they are as an international side. On paper, they're very good, but they can be a bit in and out. And I completely agree. You look at, just looking purely at the form table, St. Lucia will look at it, and I don't want to overstate home advantage. It's not like it's a 1-0 aggregate lead, but like St. Lucia, if they draw Curacao at home, it does all come down to that in my book.
Can we just get on to Group D, because I'm just going to throw something out there. I swear, for anything CONCACAF related, Belize, Montserrat, Guyana, Nicaragua are playing each other all the time.
Certainly, the bottom three, it feels like it's all the time.
The bottom three they play each other all the time. I swear down. It's a Nations League B thing, isn't it? It's got to be. They just play each other.
Was it Guyana, Montserrat, Belize in the most recent? No, it wasn't. But Guyana and Montserrat were, I'm pretty sure, a couple of Nations Leagues ago, were in the same thing. I agree. They do seem to play each other an awful lot.
Guyana, Bermuda, Montserrat was the Nations League group a couple of years in 22-23. What about 1920?
Guyana and Montserrat play each other all the time.
Montserrat, no, they weren't. It just feels, doesn't it? I was going to say, I've
seems that way. Maybe
I've sort of proven myself incorrect here, but it just feels like they always play each other. This is a tough group for all of them, though. By the way, but it gives Panama. Probably say from the outset, Panama, Nicaragua are favourites, but actually, Panama will look at that at the top end and be like, "Oh, that's a load of tough fixtures there." None of them are gimmies, are they?
No, particularly, Guyana. Did Guyana draw with Panama when they got to the Gold Cup for the first time? Maybe. I might have plucked that. That might be completely made up. I think the only thing from a Panama and Nicaragua perspective that's positive is they'll probably back the other three to take points off of each other. And it's, there isn't a clear third place spot that's going to bash everyone up. If Montserrat play Belize, that's not a guaranteed win for Montserrat. But Montserrat, of course, currently, and we know these things can change all the time, currently have Lee Bowyer as manager, and seem to get off to a very good start. They've got Lyle Taylor up front. And look, those games, anything can happen.
Yeah, they've started. There's a few other players for Montserrat that are playing in the English football pyramid that have started to play for them. Hold on.
They're getting the call up, aren't they? They're tapping into it really well, the eligibility.
Dominic Richmond of Fleetwood, Josiah Dyer from Barnsley, Brandon Comley that we know, and Alex Dyer that we know. Brandon Barsey at Dartford now, unreal. But Donovan Daniels has now played for them. He's at Walsall because he's now made 3 caps, and he's a very strong centre back. So they'll have a good team, as they always do. Group E. Now, Group E, I have I've been keeping an eye on, one of the first things that I looked at was the groups in which the round 1 winners would go into. As a BVI fanboy, as I've spoken about many a time, the first round is a Virgin Islands derby over 2 legs. USVI versus the British Virgin Islands. The winner of that goes into Group E. It's a tough group to go into, isn't it? It's a really tough group. One of the hardest, I would say. They've just BVI just finished the Nations League campaign where they were bested by Dominica in that group. They drew 1 and lost 1, I think, against Dominica. That's right, isn't it? And then, really, Dominican Republic, Guatemala, and Jamaica are all a significant level above. I'd actually say Dom Rep, Guatemala, and Jamaica are actually a level above Dominica anyway. It's a tough old group. That feels like a stacked group, actually.
I don't want to be dismissive of either of the Virgin Island sides, but really you're hoping for Jamaica away because that's your FA Cup day out.
Amazing. Imagine genuinely you're the British Virgin Islands and then you're marking Mikel Antonio.
Yeah.
It just.
I feel that group is stacked. You've got a side that's just got promoted from Nations League C, but like Jamaica, yeah, they'll probably win it. Guatemala, Domrep, it's between those two. Those two, they're both really good, really good teams. Dominica, shocking draw for them because they're really only going to think about getting points off of the round one side.
Yeah.
You know, that they've not even got too much. It would be really tough for them. Based on what we saw, it'd be really tough for them against the other two. And so it does feel like, okay, yeah, like there is really no chance for the round one team to pick up that many points. But you've got a couple of potential huge away days if you get the draw right. What you don't want is to firstly go out in round one. But if you're BVI, you don't then want to get like Dominica as one of your away games because that sort of takes away from the playing in the great stadium that you haven't played in before type thing.
Yeah.
But
no, absolutely. It's
a horror group.
Yeah, it's a tough one for whoever gets through from round one and Dominica. Domrep, Guatemala, and Jamaica. I mean, for them, Jamaica will look at that knowing they've got two really tough games against two really good sides, and it's not. I wouldn't say the same can be said for Group F, but it's not a million miles off. So it'd be the Turks and Caicos Islands or Anguilla that go in as the 5th spot in Group F, with El Salvador, Suriname, Puerto Rico, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Puerto Rico, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and the winner off playoff one. Puerto Rico will probably quite like this, actually, because they'll probably think that they can beat both St. Vincent and the Grenadines and either Turks and Caicos Islands or Anguilla. But the top two, El Salvador, are very strong. And Suriname, again, with that Dutch influence, have been massively improving their squad across the last couple of years. They are sort of pulling every eligibility thread that they can. And some of the players that they're now starting to bring over, it's a packed out team. They've got players now, mate, from across the whole of Europe. So I'm just going to drop a few in. Geraldo Becker from Real Sociedad. We have got Stefano Denswell of Trabzonspor. Van der Kust from Rotterdam. You've got Warner Hahn in goal. Did you say Warner Hahn in goal?
Yeah, Hahn in goal.
Yeah, he's in goal. He's made almost 20 appearances now.
That's Eredivisie as well, is it for him?
No, he's actually now playing in Japan. But you've got Kelvin Leerdam, who's playing for LA Galaxy in the MLS. Mario Klaas, who's playing for ADO Den Haag in the Eredivisie. Kenneth Powell, who's playing in the Championship for QPR. That's a good squad of players for Suriname. And hey, Puerto Rico are a good side. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I think, gives an opportunity for the round one team to maybe get something. But there's some great teams, man. There's some great teams, isn't there?
There's some great teams. I think Suriname outside shout of winning this group, to be honest. El Salvador on paper, maybe the weakest sort of pot one side. If you look at the teams that are top of the groups for each group as they're written in front of you, it's close. But, you know, there's an argument to say that Suriname, if it all clicks together, will win that group. I completely agree about Puerto Rico if it wasn't Suriname. If it was maybe Antigua and Barbuda instead, they might think, oh, we got a chance here because Puerto Rico will back themselves to beat SVG and the round one side. But I just feel like the top two are too strong there. I think that one's going to be pretty clean cut and similar, really. You know, if the Turks and Caicos Islands happen to get through round one, I just hope that they get El Salvador and Suriname as their away games. So that they can have some great days out. And then there's half a chance if they play at home to SVG and Puerto Rico to a certain extent, they can maybe cause some problems and have some great moments. But I think that the main thing for any of the round one teams is you go from playing 2 games to then playing an additional 4 on top of it. So, you know, you're over doubling, you're 3 timesing the amount of games that you play in World Cup qualifiers. 3xing, tripling. All sorts of terminology. You're doubling it and then adding 2 more. So, you know, I think round one, which comes up in March, is absolutely huge. These groups are fantastic. Closing point then, Ryan. Out of all the teams, that you see bottom of the group as they're written, which one would you most like to be a fan of right now looking at the group? Which one are you thinking, oh, they've got the best chance of picking up the most points?
Good question. I almost don't want to count Belize.
Nah, they still count. I still think they count.
Yeah,
they are just better than the rest. It's got to be them, isn't it?
I would actually say Bahamas.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd say Bahamas.
Between those two.
Yeah. Who would you say out of all of the 3, 4, and 5, or so the third team and down, sort of the
Yeah.
unfancied, or the as you start to get lower down the rankings, who do you think has got the best chance of qualifying?
Mm. On the face of it, it's between two for me. Very quick scan through. It'd be between
Go on.
Domrep
Yeah.
and Cuba would be my
Yeah.
two.
I'm
My two
thinking
shots.
Domrep, and potentially Guyana for me.
Oh,
Guyana
that'd be
are a good
nice.
side. Yeah.
Yeah,
But they're a good side, aren't they?
for sure.
Oh, mate, we're gonna have to do. We'll have to do a proper, detailed, in-depth preview of all of the teams, all of the players, who we think is going to win the group, who we think is going to come second, all of that. That is to come. DNQ
That is to come.
subscribers. So if you haven't
And if
already,
you don't already, then make sure you subscribe, comment your predictions. Which sort of minnow nation do you think's got the best draw? Which group are you most excited about? We will try our best as well to get some interviews before those June internationals with some of the players from those smaller teams to chat through the group and what is to come as well. There is so much coming up. We've got AFCON and Asian Cup going on at the moment. Then a little bit of a pause of international football in sort of middle to end of February. And then we go again with a huge March international that brings about round 1. So much to come on DNQ. And as ever, we will see you next time.